when you alter the rock, you change the tree. When I move the rain, then another place has drought. Every single action you take affects the entire balance. So to have the full power of a God, you eventually realize to just be silent and to do nothing. Because then you don't even want to disturb anything. What's goody?
So, what's good, Ivan?
Purple Matter, episode 10. What's up, brother?
We're here.
How you doing?
It has been a little bit hard to catch up on this time frame.
It's all good.
Thailand, France. We gotta adjust.
Gotta stay adaptable, as they say. We live though. We live as far as live is concerned. For all of you watching, you're probably gonna get the ripple effect. You're gonna be seeing us in the past, but we're gonna be talking about the future. So regardless, let's tap in. How you doing, Armel?
Most definitely.
You over there live in Bangkok?
We're here live in Bangkok. It has
That's
been
fire.
an amazing night yesterday. Live straight in, and we're preparing the new Chinese New Year.
Nice.
Getting in preparation.
I did peep some content from the metas, from the POV metas. That was pretty dope. That's you know, that's a little tease of what's to come. POV adventures.
Most definitely. So yeah, I think yesterday was very interesting because I was discussing with a different spectrum of like mentally structured people. There were some people that was really negative about the future and what's coming, and there were some people that was really positive.
Really?
And I figured out that it was depending on the places they were coming from. They had different experience of the reality, so they could like think that the future may be more optimistic or more negative. It depends on those experience and what they take, what the education taught them, what the system taught them. So
Right.
for example, a lot of French people were negative about the future.
Right.
And I was explaining my optimism about technology, AI, everything that's going to change the world, and that's the thing that we need actually right now. But they could not see that, even though they were doing it in their own life. Like they were like using social media, using video creation massively, intensely for their own personal business as a creator, as like I believe like all those work, entrepreneurship creators, they are all like the path to like God's being able to create constantly new project, to help the development of the humanity.
Right.
So even though they're doing this on their side, their own business and promoting by themselves, with using all the tools, on the same time they are very negative about it. So it's very controversial.
That's fascinating. That's like that makes me think of the classic nature versus nurture debate. And, I think we spoke about the frog in the well theory, or Plato's
Right.
allegory of the cave. It's like, at what point do we have to just snap out of this cave that we're putting ourselves in and be aware of like
Exactly.
what is really influencing the things we say. And we use the term NPC, non-player control. And
Right.
I think we've seen that
That's
a lot
true.
too, especially with the advent of X and this current controversy around what free speech truly is. So it's very fascinating to see people regurgitate the same information. And even myself, I catch myself repeating information that I might have read or seen or heard. So it's that constant check-in or that constant awareness struggle for all of us to be like, is this really coming from our spirit? Is this coming from our true self? These words that I'm saying, these fears or these negative outlooks or these positive outlooks even, where is it truly coming from? I mean, these are all philosophical questions. Might not have answers, but the question itself leads to more realization.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think more realization is just a part of the process for the whole human growth. And right now we're shifting toward the big like big growth in technology and understanding of our tools, and also big growth in consciousness. So I think that's the main topic we want to first start about, is that as people grow in the technological realm and physical realm, they understand more the world they're around, they understand more and more deeply that they can implement patterns within a framing situation that is not part of the 3D world, and they can use this energy to be able to help them, as to balance into this reality. Then we experience an expansion in consciousness.
Oh, for sure. It's happening rapidly right now. I mean, of course, just we spoke about this in earlier episodes. The fact that a basic cell phone connection to the internet or to social media gives a human being access that this human being has never had in the history before it. It's like having this, you speak about omnipresence. It's like having a primitive God eye, essentially. To be able to see on your feed, I don't know how many thousands of pieces of content, or to be able to visually travel to countless destinations. It's almost like the human being, in a way. I mean,
so basically we got closer with our physical tools. We got closer to like a human data artificial intelligence, and by seeing this happening, we can actually understand that this artificial intelligence, it's very good and very powerful, but it's not as powerful as our own natural intelligence. And that's when we are starting to realize that actually, if you want to survive in this world, we have to develop our own intelligence, which is non-technological. It's like, everything like intuition, love, like
Right.
passion, excitement,
Right.
all this access to the source. That's what we need to work on. And as soon as you start working on accessing the source and acting less with your mental, you can actually become a better player to follow the natural path of life, which is actually leading to absolute bliss at the end.
Right, and this is ideas of balance. This is ideas of kind of reminding yourself that technology has maybe caught up to tools or skills or practices that ancient civilizations, religions, spiritual practices have known far longer than, of course, the invention of the internet or the invention of a cell phone, computer, etc., etc. And I always joke about primitive forms of telepathy or primitive forms of teleportation, where it's like you hear these stories, these mythological stories, whether it's, you're in Thailand too, and Thailand is very, very rooted in deep spirituality, legends, and mythology around the concept of Buddhism.
True.
And there are stories of monks in Thailand who have performed what they consider miracles. My younger brother lived in Thailand for some time. I used to visit Thailand all the time when I was younger during the summers. But there are stories of like monks who would perform supernatural feats. One story would be, I think maybe you even can ask around, there's a famous story of a man who, to defy kind of the Buddhist temple, he wanted to go and test a monk, and he brought a gun to the steps of the monk, pointed the gun at the monk, pulled the trigger, click, 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 and then the monk opened his hands and all the bullets were in his hands. Like things like this. There's countless stories of, these perhaps telepathy or supernatural. So like at
So
what
basically
point...
you can understand that like this, as soon as you expand in the consciousness and you understand that we are only all one, you can actually understand that the consciousness that you are is not part of space-time. Okay? So
Right.
as soon as you understand that the consciousness that you are is not in space-time, you can actually do anything you want in the future, in the past, in the present. That's actually time travel. And then you can also understand that you can experience everything at the same time. So that's teleportation. You can like put your awareness directly, boom, through these plants, boom,
Right.
you're aware of this situation through the plane. You understand that each brain is an antenna to the same consciousness to experiment the same situation within different perspectives. So as soon as you understand this pattern, you can actually know that this person that is living is actually the same as you, just from another perspective.
Right. And even as you realize that, for example, in your physical reality and existence, have you yourself or Mel experienced any supernatural phenomenon? Or have you manifested a supernatural phenomenon?
Most definitely. I think we can. I mean, the most recent phenomena that I've encountered is actually like very intense, repetitive actions that are reflecting synchronicity. That means like I'm having a lot of opportunities in a short amount of time within a place where I'm not exactly supposed to be. I just went there randomly, and because I knew that that was the place I had to come, which is Bangkok, and I can have conversation with people that are light-minded and understand the vision, which can help us expand. Because where I'm living in Taipei, the people I'm surrounding with, it's very hard to talk about this kind of conversation. In Japan, I have some friends that can talk about this, and here I can meet some people that can also talk about that, and that's helped the overall consciousness to expand because we can share our own experience and we understand we are not alone to be growing and growing in expansion. So all those synchronicity signs, they're actually reflection of the purity of the journey. Just gotta enjoy.
Right.
Actually, you just gotta surf. You don't have to act.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't have to
Right.
force. As soon as you're gonna see you start forcing, then that means like, oh, you gotta go and see which other opportunities are offering to you and take it effortlessly. Because if you start forcing on that specific point, obviously, not good gonna happen.
Right. I'm curious too about, even on this trip, perhaps even as we speak about this, it's already messages that are going to start manifesting. But I'm curious how you will respond or how you will react or witness to individuals who you will meet who literally create supernatural occurrences.
It's
Now, when I
very
say the word
harmonious. It's actually
supernatural,
very harmonious. When you
Yeah.
meet someone that also has this superpower, it gets very harmonious
Right.
because you share the same feeling. So as soon as you start sharing the same feeling, you understand that you can share exactly the same thought, and that's where telepathy happens.
Right. And beyond telepathy, I'm almost talking about, again, this is the most like, this is where science and spirituality have their greatest divide, because science wants to prove it in the observable physical realm. Now, when it comes to science, I think I guess the most advanced form that is portrayed to us as people, common people, are terms like quantum physics, or particle physics, right? These are points where they're starting to collide atoms. They're trying to go super microscopic, beyond atoms to quarks, right? To particles that can barely be observed, light particles. So it's almost like science is trying to measure the fabric of the universe with tools and devices that have been invented by humans. And on the other spectrum, you'll have yogis or Buddhists, monks, supernatural, perhaps humans, who are achieving miracles, or at least we perceive as miracles, because the common people are in the center almost, that defy what we consider possible. So when I talk about, you talk about telepathy, and your telepathy might be understood as, I would say, having vibrational connection, maybe understanding someone's thoughts. But then there's a realm where we're talking about blindfolding people, holding up cards, and they know exactly what's on the card. And I think this is a great segue to what you mentioned about this next generation coming in of, you know, some call them, we use the term autistic.
Yes, sir.
But then it doesn't have to just be autistic or autism or ADHD or HD, but highly sensitive humans who are being born into this world, who are in these programs, and people watching might be hearing this, be like, what the hell are they talking about? But there are actual programs. I think one of them is called Mindsight or something like that, where you have these children testing the level of their telepathy with blindfold, and they're talking about how this universe is one fabric of vibration and frequency, and everything emits a vibration. And if you can sense those vibrations, then you start to identify what's what.
Exactly. That's as soon as you can start sensing it, as soon as you can understand that everyone is experiencing the world through a different eye, like all our sensations, it's all a different world. So obviously there is some people that have like higher experiences of consciousness in the world. They can experience the vibration. They can, in this documentary, apparently they were like being able to read.
Yeah, we have to watch this.
They were able to read everything their moms were thinking. They could read, understand everything without them saying that. Or, you have to watch we put the link maybe.
I think
it's 2 hours.
I think there are a lot of little moments. Yeah, we gotta watch that. I was gonna say there are a lot of little moments even for like quote unquote regular people. I think we've all experienced a sensation where it's funny, I was just about to say that sensation of like, we know when somebody's about to come into the room before they come into the room. So there are all these little signs or these little moments where you can almost imagine humans have that ability already built into them. That intuition, as we say. You think of somebody and they call. These little things, right? And then
you got the wave.
Right. Most people will disregard it and be like, oh, it's just that, or it's just this. But it's always interesting, and it's a little funny how, the most scientific, anti-spiritual, atheist type, people who believe in chaos, and they always disregard something small like that. But it's almost like a hypocritical statement, because that same very small aspect is also something to be scientifically understood. Why? Why did that happen? How did it happen? How do you explain that?
Yes, sir.
And I think it's convenient when the explanation is always chaos theory, randomness. Look at the universe and look at how many billions of billions and billions and billions of stars there are. But we're the only ones that have consciousness. It almost defies logic. What are you most excited for now that you're in Thailand?
Very excited of going into nature tomorrow. I think I'm going to turn off my phone for about 5 days. Just disconnect. Go at the beach, disconnect, read, finish my book.
You're gonna go on some hikes?
I'm gonna go some hikes, I'm gonna finish my book, I'm gonna go in the water, I'm gonna appreciate the hot weather, and then after that I head back to Taipei.
Nice. And you mentioned something about, back to this autism generation. You mentioned something about this. I mean, of course we have to watch that documentary, but you mentioned something about this place they call the Hill, where they all can access telepathically.
Yes.
Is that like a natural form of the internet?
Yeah, actually, that's it. That's a natural form of the internet. That's it. You said everything. It's very easy to explain that way. It's actually like a network where they can connect and they represent it at the heel, and they can join and talk to each other, and see it's a different
Right.
dimension. It's the same with cats. Cats are living in a different dimension. They can know when you're leaving, like 3 days
Right.
before you're gonna do a departure. Your cat's gonna miss you because he knows that you're already leaving. He's no future, no present, no past. He already knows. He's in a different game. We are in a physical game. We think we are super advanced, but just in this game, they are super advanced in their own visual world.
I know.
They can sense things. I'm sure my cat can see through the walls. I know he can see through the walls.
I mean, cats already rule the world if you really think about it.
Exactly.
If you think about cats, humans are slaves to cats. This is like the big joke about cats.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
they're such an evolved life form that they've managed to allow a human to be their servant. And they get to stay home all day and chill and cuddle, and eat, right? And then the humans have to do everything to make sure this cat is fed. That sounds like a blessed life.
Yeah, they're kings.
And it's
They're
no
blessed.
wonder. Yeah, it's no wonder. I mean, the cats made it on the hieroglyphics, right? Ancient Egypt used to worship those. I forgot what breed of cat that are. Those hairless cats.
The black cats, they're gods.
I think those black cats / sphinxes, those
So-
hairless ones.
So yesterday I was talking with someone, bro. We should have him on the show, but he could not. He wasn't really didn't want to do it. So it was very very interesting conversation, projects wise, and also very optimist. Everything I was telling him, he was understanding. Even like I was going through like very different deep topics about Vedanta philosophy, very deep and very using Sanskrit name and everything. He was understanding it. So it was very very nice to have a conversation with someone who can understand the subject, bro. Because when you're in Taipei and you're around people and you can't really talk because they're speaking Chinese or they don't really want to speak in English or they don't want to speak about this kind of thing.
These topics,
here, bro, he knew everything, and he's a very smart guy. He's like trying to raise $2 million for a company, a credit card company. So digital credit card company. Very nice project, bro. Very promising.
That's amazing.
And all the different subjects he could tell, bro, and all those topics about like navigating a different way the world. It's also like we always talk about it. It's also part of yoga and everything.
Oh, for sure. I think the greatest shift that might take place as we kind of approach this concept of singularity, this fusion between the human psyche, spirituality, the mind, and technological advancement tool, is this. It's almost like counterintuitive. It goes back to like one of the first things we kind of joked about in the Purple Matter 1 or 2, where I spoke about like the octopus tentacles. And
Yes.
in a very real way, the more we use technology, the more dependent we become on it. So, you mentioned you're about to turn your phone off for 5 days, get back in touch with your natural ability to heighten your awareness, tune up your antenna.
Exactly.
But it makes you realize, like, the further down we go with technology, the more dependent we all become. And it's very evident that there are going to be very powerful parties, people, interests that don't want a human being to be completely independent.
Yes,
They don't want. They
but
don't want
actually
us.
they can't avoid it. So
Right.
we have to start working with it, and they can't avoid it. We all gonna understand that we all gods, we all omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient, and we can do everything in the same time, effortlessly. Like that's things that for some people you can't even imagine, but some people you can imagine it already. So we're already shifting. That
Yeah.
means-
For sure.
and so
It's like training wheels. All this technology is training wheels to help us remember.
we just
true-
remember,
the
and so
true power.
we're gonna have to start living with this. So that's why we're pretty optimistic about the future, because we know that we're gonna be you know, we're gonna be safe, I think.
Right.
Bro, as soon as you start understanding that, you're pretty safe, bro. Don't worry about it.
Right. There is nothing to worry
Don't
about.
worry too.
That's kind of the whole aspect of it. It's like there's nothing but infinite possibilities right now. You know, we are approaching those days. Maybe some of these people listening to this show used to have moments as a child where you used to wish that you can talk to your person, talk to your favorite person across miles with your mind. And this is kind of the beauty because, like, you know, even myself, I'm 36, but I remember playing with the first Game Boy, for example, right? And
Right.
all you wanted to do as a kid was just play your video game day to night. You wanted to finish all the challenges. You wanted to get all the achievements. You wanted to completely explore the entire map, complete every level. And then nighttime would come, and with your little Game Boy Color or your Game Boy, you could no longer see the screen. And I remember the first time they launched the Game Boy SP, and there was a backlight on the screen, which
Right.
meant I could see in the dark. You can see, you know what I mean? So like little innovations and advancements start to become reality, but those were just dreams and wishes of your younger self. And now here we are, 25, 30 years later, and we're talking about, you know, social media, X, being able to talk to a global audience of hundreds of millions of people, or we're on the eve of installing a neural link to be able to use your computer without hands. And they've already invented
Oh,
potential.
that's where they're trying to control as much as they can.
Right,
Okay. Yeah,
right.
we're not ready yet to put a chip on. I mean, let's see.
But there is going to be a shift there. There is going to
Yeah.
be a moment where there's going to be many people who decide to go that route.
Right, and that's gonna start being competitive. But are we asking if like those technology really gonna beat nature? Probably, and that's gonna be the end of the world.
Well, that's why I love George Carlin. That's why I love George Carlin always talks about this. It's like, you know, he always kind of makes fun of people who are going to save the planet, save the trees, save the bees. The arrogance that he believes people have to think that they can save the planet when the planet has been here for billions of years. And he jokes, he says, the planet is not going anywhere. The people are. The people are on their way out. The people are endangered. And this is a very uncomfortable feeling if you are very attached to your form or your idea or your ego, because you start to realize that maybe the planet has plans for consciousness that don't involve an Armel or an Ivan. We are meant to become extinct, to usher in a new form of intelligence, i.e. AI, hybrid, computer intelligence. So this is where things start to get trippy. And of course, human beings want to, like the people you spoke to in Thailand, they want to hold on, and that might turn into fear. That might turn into, oh, but what's going to happen? We're going to lose our jobs. It's going to be horrible. It's going to be this, it's going to be that.
But that's only the way you want to see the world, bro. So when you understand that you are just experiencing the world through a different aspect and a different vision, you can just understand that if you change your thinking and you decide to visualize a different world, the world's gonna change. So that's why we are human, and that's very good, because if you change your thinking and you say, okay, actually I'm not losing my job, actually I'm giving more opportunities to have way to work effortlessly and doing something creative or something that is good for the earth, rather than just being like a Uber driver, or rather than just working at the as a waiter. I mean, waiter is good, but sometimes you want to be a painter, you want to play piano, you want to be
Right.
so
It goes
You
back
just
to gratitude.
you just change your understanding of the situation and you replace it with gratitude. That's right.
Yeah, it goes back to gratitude. I mean, that even reminds me of that famous Steve Jobs letter where he's like, I look around at everything that Apple is or that I've created, and I realize that everything he touches, he's like, everything I touch wasn't invented by me. The telephone, the networks, I didn't create actually. I didn't physically build. And he kind of just sums it up to everything that I am and that I do is because of the people who have worked hard to create it. And actually, we are kind of just this molecule in the ocean. You know, and of course, you know, on one hand, you talk about being a god, being a supernatural, powerful being. But the closer you get to that realization of being a god, the more you realize that the god is actually the smallest piece of the puzzle. So this is where it becomes very Lao Tzu, or very yin yang, very of the way,
Yeah.
inside
It's
outside.
it's not up or down. That's where like you can't really compare
Right.
as a up or down. It's everything every you know, it's everything everywhere. So
Yeah,
it's not individual, it's non-duality.
yeah, it's like this. They kind of, as we're flowing, this reminds me of like one of my favorite books called The Wizard of Earthsea. You got to read this when you get a chance one day, by Ursula Le Guin. My father introduced me to this book, and this book is kind of like the foundational book, came out in the 70s. It's like one of the foundational stories of the classic young protege wizard who's on his journey to become the most powerful wizard in the world. But one of his first yeah, it's the classic hero story. But one of his first teachers, his name is Ogion, the Silent. And Ogion is so legendary that apparently, according to their folklore in this book,
Right.
he was able with his control. And in this book, they talk about the true nature and the true name, the true old speech. And when you know something's true name, you have full mastery and control over it. This is kind of their wizardry, their magic was based on this knowledge. And this teacher, Ogion, has a story where he saved an entire village from a hurricane. So he had to move this entire hurricane away from the village. But in his teachings to the young wizard, he was completely silent, and he completely has this power to be able to move hurricanes, yet in the everyday action of his life, he doesn't use his magic at all. And the greatest lesson comes later, because of course the young wizard is impatient. He wants to use that magic to call the birds to his hand, to call the animals, to transform rocks into diamonds. He wants to just do everything. But later Ogion basically tells him, when you alter the rock, you change the tree. When I move the rain, then another place has drought. Every single action you take affects the entire balance. So
That's
to have the full power of a god, you eventually realize to just be silent and to do nothing. Because then you don't even want to disturb
exactly.
anything.
Exactly. That's action
this
in action. That's action
Right.
in action.
You're right.
You decide to do nothing no more because you know that that's where you're gonna have the biggest impacts.
So
It's
this is
action
fascinating.
in action and inaction in action.
And I'm curious how that's going to apply to technology. Or how is that going to apply to AI?
That means
Is
that
it-
people that gonna learn how to use it gonna become super I don't know. We're gonna step up, I think.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine, but because we're so conditioned to feel like technology is like, and capitalism and progress and ambition and profits.
No.
It's like this rocket ship that
Yeah.
it's just like, But eventually a rocket ship hits space and then it just floats. So there is a very interesting thought that comes about how far will technology go before technology starts to plateau and to become inaction.
Until we don't have energy anymore, otherwise it will.
But energy is unlimited. So
let's see.
So that's kind of where it gets tricky, because if technology will never stop and constantly be in a state of action, what would that inaction balance have to be?
Listen, I think right now it's gonna go super fast, bro. There's some people that gonna understand that if they don't like forget about the precedent understanding of the world, and that the society is actually not like a 3D pattern thing, and that you can navigate so much easier your life, then we're gonna start developed very good project very very rapidly, you know, using the process of creation. So creators through social media, creators through videos. So the process of creation will be key actually to survive to differentiate with AI, because you know human creation will be always be more beautiful than an AI generated photo, AI generated video. There's
Yeah, I
still a
believe
huge
this
gap.
too.
So if you want to like actually be a little bit outside of the after outside of what it's capable within the AI realm, then you can like start creating things that reflect your authenticity, or you know, and then
Right.
that's where you can actually thrive right now. That's the only way.
Right. There's a key concept that just previously from the episode that I just did with Jeff for Beyond the Hustle, where we spoke about the concept of intimacy, authenticity, and then intimacy. And what does intimacy mean? And like, why do people still have such an obsession with film photography or analog photography? And I think you come back to this feeling of, you know, touch. Of course, the natural senses, the five senses are spectrum. And there is an intimacy that is kind of garnered through this creative process of doing things with your hands, or doing things with, you know, by extension, your senses. And in a way, AI, technology, etc., it's really overcharging visual and audio, right? But the taste hasn't come yet. The touch is not quite there. And then what's the last one? Taste, touch. Hold on, I'm tripping. Taste, touch, sight, the smell. The smell. So sight and audio is really the powerful senses for AI and technology.
Right.
And I'm sure there's people developing the scent, the smell, and the taste, and the touch parts, right? This is kind of where robotics comes into play. What's your take on robotics as we move into this fusion of human and technology?
I can't really guess the future. I don't really want to say anything about that, but honestly, I would think that the future, if robots arrives to be successful, then the future may be filled with houses, all automated, and everything like independent with AI in the house. So you can just talk, and Siri or Alexa is part of your house, and you can say, Alexa, open the window, and boom, she opened the window. Alexa, I want to order Uber to the airport, and boom, there is a car that's drive with no driver and just pick you up at in front of your house. So you go, get in, and then you ask Alexa to order a Uber Eats driver for a bagel just before you get your train to go to downtown.
Right. Seamless, pure experience and creation.
Yes. So that will be the success in the physical world, if this is good. But then people create technology people create like scientists create science things, and you know, but then they give it in the hands of other people, and the other people are either entrepreneurs or people just that use it for entertainment. But entrepreneurs will actually be the fastest one, because as soon as they will see a new product, they will start to try it very quickly and understand the project, and then they will be the one in position to make the choice if they want to use it in an evil way or in a positive way. If they want to do push on the advertising side of the product, or actually maybe make a membership price. It's all going to be about money actually.
Right.
So it's all about entrepreneurs, how they're going to navigate the distribution of the product, because they're going to make it a product. So that's the problem actually, is that the technology going to be made in form of product. But the key is to remember that over this product we are still independent, we're still free, and that's what they don't want to know. And because it's not going to be physical, it's going to be something that it's more mental than physical. Like right now, the impact that social media has, the impact that your phone has on your mental, is everything more mental than physical. So we're going to enter really a mental game. So the more we're going to start to understand how to detach mentally to the reality, and reach another state of consciousness, of very nice stage actually.
Right.
then you can navigate the world more easily, and without having to really desire anything that is cheap dopamine, or you're self-fulfilled 100% of your time, because you're satisfied with the minimum and you're happy in every situation, because you are grateful. So right now I'm very grateful, bro. You can see my
100%.
life. If you follow this path, bro, you're pretty grateful actually. You can see,
100%.
I mean, I'm not complaining, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. You're just present, and vice versa. When you're kind of living in that, what is it, iagaki?
Alignment. It's an alignment. It's an alignment. And then you surf, bro. That's exactly the same metaphor with the surfer. As soon as you got the wave, boom, you start to surf.
Right.
And then you can pick up all clues, all keys. You just pick them up. And it's really a mental game, bro. It's all about like adapting, because now we can do everything online. So you can just be on your computer, nice coffee, nice latte, and you can just already see keys, like coincidences.
Oh, 100%. What's wild too is that it's still early. It's still early. Like when you talk about this aspect of being online and being in a state of gratitude, it's still very early. I mean, even, by the way, this is a good segue. I just want to make sure I ask you about like Kundalini energy, of course, very synonymous with the year of the snake.
Right.
And I want you to talk about the Kundalini energy of kind of aligning and unleashing that type of energy. But back to this early aspect of, so to say, making money online and what that means.
Yes, sir.
And how to cultivate that. Even here in France, or maybe where you are in Thailand, the majority of people are not doing that. So when we talk about shift, we have to realize that this could possibly be what that awakening becomes. Because most people are not cultivating that or aligning themselves with this kind of open-minded aspect of whether it's being a digital nomad, making money online, or streamlining, or hacking, or becoming financially successful or abundant via the internet, right? Via this virtual world. Most people are still waking up at 5, 6, 7 to physically go to work, to physically do something with their hands, with their mind, office work, retail work, labor work.
This is far in the spectrum of shift. This is far from where you can actually go. right? Because there is like people that go to work consciously, you know, they do like everything that you're saying right now, but there is also people that also pray. There's people that, you know, they go in temples, they go in, so all these kind of things, they're already like, you know, acting about help from a higher power in the physical world. But when you understand that you can reach this higher power anytime, anywhere, omnipresent, omnipotent, you know, like this kind of thing, like it's not, I'm not saying like I'm, you know, that's what the tradition says, you know, it's not you know, that's what the tradition says. But when you start to understand that, you can actually transcend every religion, bro. You know what I mean?
No, for sure, 100%. I mean, that's where it goes back
and
to
and so you see back at
all
the
religions are
humanity, and
just
like
on the
you see
surface.
people at that time, they were like, if we were guessing that it goes that way, you can think about people, oh, you know, people used to pray, they used to have to go like in a temple just to be closer to God at that time, because they didn't know yet, but now we know. And you know, we think that that was interesting, that the humanity had to go through this physical state to understand again where they were coming from.
Right. So, what do you think the next temple will be? What's the next temple for humans? If we go
After,
beyond spirituality, if we go beyond religion, and mind you, we have
I
to
mean,
realize that
the closest temple will be definitely the 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 body. You know, it's gonna first move through that. That's your the closest temple from your from
right,
the source, because that's where you're
right,
experiencing. That's where you chose to experience life. It's through this body, so you gotta respect this body.
right. I mean, it's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild times, because you have to remember too. We have Islam, we have Christianity, we have Buddhism, and then subsequently, there are many faiths in the world right now, and every faith, every religion has different customs and practices. But I think this is a good time to segue to, like, even speaking of faith or practice, what does Kundalini mean to you? What is the Kundalini energy?
Kundalini energy is the energy dormant at the bottom of your spine. So you actually, you know, you have in your body, you have 72,000 channel of energy. They're called nadis.
Mm.
and and there's three principal ones that are crossing from the bottom to the top of your head, the crown of your head, the bottom of your spine till the crown of your head. and and when you work on breathing exercise, you know, have a clean diet, have like a, you know, if you try to use every tool that like yoga, uh, kundalini yoga is providing, you know, for cleaning nadis, then you're gonna start cleaning channels, and you're gonna be able to make moving energy through the principal nadis, which is called susumna nadis, and that's the one that is going through your spine, so the head of your crown,
Right,
the top of
I've
your
heard
head.
of this. I've heard of this energy.
So
I've heard of some of these teachings.
as soon as you can bring the kundalini energy, which is dormant energy, from the bottom to the top, is kundalini awakening, and that's the highest. I mean, that's a good reach. That's a good reach. But you
I
can do
recall
it.
that Kundalini is meant to like also activate the pineal gland and to get
Yeah.
those
Then you have third eye, bro.
right. And what is the, so to say, result of your third eye opening or your
But
pineal
then you
gland
understand.
opening?
You start when your third eye opening. You understand the new game, how you can navigate the new game through energy. When you start to understand that everything is energy, and that you can control like every single system of pattern because of your thoughts, like every experience, that's just the product of my thoughts. So if I can change my thoughts, the experience that I'm gonna have will be different than the experience we're supposed to have if I was thinking a different way, right? So I can start thinking more positively to generate a better and positive world all around me, and it's always going to be positive that way, bro. I don't want to live like wrong things. Every time there is a wrong situation, I want to find the fastest way to make it a positive thing.
Right.
Because
Right.
I don't want to be burned twice. Like, it's already annoying, then I want to go through and move on something else or find a solution to make the problem better. So it's all about like shifting thoughts at the right time. And as soon as you can understand you can just shift thoughts, then the shorter you're gonna spend time suffering. So you can spend like from 4 minutes to 3 minutes to 2 seconds to no more at all.
Right. Just instant optimism. Instant
Optimism.
optimism that leads to optimal
Exactly.
experience.
Exactly. Why are you gonna suffer? Like, oh, I wanna be like in a cool, cozy house, smoking a blunt, you know,
Right.
chilling.
Right.
No stress.
Maximizing,
Yeah,
levels of levels
you
of
gotta
calm.
sacrifice. You gotta sacrifice a lot of things, though. You gotta sacrifice a lot of things, and that's the hard work. Actually, the hard work is all about sacrifice.
Yeah, it goes hand in hand for sure. I was gonna say too that like it even makes me optimistic to think that as and of course Kundalini energy is these teachings are based on which practice? This is like Hindu. Kundalini comes from Hinduism.
Yeah, I think like yoga. It's a yoga. It's a type of yoga. I think.
Hindu yoga. It's a type of. I
Not
see what
sure
you mean.
exactly, but I think so. It's a yoga, Kundalini
I
yoga.
mean, what is kind of amazing, even just in terms of yoga, and like shout out to all the yogis and people who practice yoga, is I think people who don't do yoga don't realize that some of those motions or those movements are extremely difficult. And I've done some yoga here and there, very very basic entry level stuff, but you know just to imagine, most people will hear or watch yoga, but then to actually practice it, to do it physically, and to understand how your body moves or how to keep your body in certain positions, and then to watch a master almost move fluently like a blade of grass or something like this. It's insane. And then to think of that physical merely matching the mental, like these kind of these energetical motions that can't really be replicated physically, but it gets close. So this is where you start to realize when you have one person doing that, and then you have a room of 10, 15, 20, 100 people doing that. I mean, you've been to some very very powerful communes, yogi communes. Like, what's that energy like when there's like 50 or 100 people together in a state of Kundalini energy?
I never seen that, bro. I never seen that, bro. People are not there yet, bro. So there's like maybe 3 foreigners. It's not like, I never had a kind of conversation like this there. But I would have loved to, though. I started to talk with a guy from Australia, Indian guy living in Australia, very cool guy. I started talking about some subject like that. He was very interested about it. It was like, wow, you opened my eyes, like that's crazy. I actually can apply all those Vedanta philosophy aspect into my current life, because he thought that was just like school, and he was just seeing this at the physical plane. He was like, oh, it's interesting, but like, how can we apply it in the physical world?
Right.
Everyone want money, And
Right.
I was like, no, actually, you can actually apply it.
I just had a funny thought too. Like, I think about like, spirituality at scale. Like, what does spirituality at scale look like? And I think the closest phenomenons in our experience as people are, for example, Islam and Mecca, right?
Right.
Hundreds of thousands of people taking the pilgrimage, or Christians on Sunday. And then it makes me think about like funny things. Like, of course, this is just me saying something from my feeling, but sometimes it feels like more often than not, a Sunday is always sunny. And could there be a connection to the sun shining because most of the world is praying in church? Like at any given moment on a Sunday, how many Christians are at church praying and speaking about love and compassion? And then compare that to Islam or Hinduism. Like what are the time frame moments where people are in a state of optimism, prayer, gratitude, and then does that affect reality in those time frames? Are there less crime? Is there less crime? Is there better weather? Is there more, like this is just a question I'm thinking about. Like how could you even measure an experiment like that? Maybe through social media. You know, people listening, maybe someone can create this experiment. Does massive amounts of people praying at the same time actually affect reality in that given time frame?
Yes, for sure, for sure. It
Right,
does.
we know.
Because you affect already
we sense
reality.
it.
Because actually, when you pray, like, and that's what I've learned also in the ashram, the work of devotion is actually very important because when you do devotion, you accept that there's a higher power that is driving you, and it's not your physical. You know, it's not the primal, you know, pattern. You're already asking help for a higher power, and so you opening the access, you opening your mind to this potential higher power, and so that's already a practice to access
Right.
the consciousness, you know, yeah.
I mean, it would be crazy to witness.
So that's
you know,
devotion. That's devotion. I didn't know about this before,
Devotion.
but now I know that
Devotion. That's a good word.
Just praying is already like a very easy tool. That's one of the easiest tools to get closer to God. That's why everyone does that in religion, because that's the tool where you get the closer to God. Very easy. It's a very easy one. So I didn't know that. I never prayed before. But now I know if I pray, it's okay. You know, if I pray, I accept there's a higher power. All good.
Right. It's pure thoughts. Pure thoughts up.
And that's,
it's,
you know,
yeah,
exactly.
It's
That's
like
where
everyone can do it.
Right. Pure.
I'm curious in our lifetime, do you think we'll ever witness, do you think we'll witness, like, let's say hypothetically, like, algorithms control what we see now, for sure, right?
Right.
You have 1,000 followers on Instagram, you post a story, the algorithm only shows 20 people, 30 people, whatever. But the fact is, the algorithms decide who gets to see and why, and based on their interests, all these, you know, requirements.
Because you're playing through a third party player.
Exactly.
So,
but my point is,
because you're playing through a third party player, you can't control where it's gonna go, and you can't control what you own or not. So actually, you should better play your own game, which is like a inward game, is not an external game, because everything that you're gonna play, it may be a social media platform or it may be a football game. You can't always really control what's gonna happen. You know, it's always gonna be tangible, or you have to make a balance with like good and bad all the time. But if you're actually playing an inward game, it's gonna be infinite, and you're gonna be able to expand exponentially very quickly because you're gonna get access to more and more patterns that are not blocked by the physical reality.
Right. What I'm leading towards is basically what are the physical manifestations of the largest group, consistent, parallel, correlated group activities that humans do. I think algorithms can potentially assist that one day. But here's an example. Human beings on Earth, we're all, no matter what race, color, creed we are, we have very ritualistic, tribalistic DNA. And here's a perfect example. What event on Earth does everybody participate in at the same time? New Year.
Prayer.
New Year. Right? We all participate in New Year.
Okay.
But who established that? Or who agreed? How do we all agree to do that?
It's not at the same time, though. It's not at the same time, though.
Well, you know what I mean, waves.
It should be at the same time. But it's not at the same time at all.
Because time
should
doesn't.
be.
We established in the last episode time doesn't
Yes, but
exist. It's a broken cloud.
yes, but if you're supposedly explaining that there's like one calendar, and that the calendar is actually based on the very beginning of something, like you could be precise, you know. Why are you saying like, okay, January in Japan is going to start at this date at this hour?
Right.
I mean, yeah, because of the planet difference, of course, you know. But
Yeah, night and day.
there is one
Of course,
time frame that it should be the exact same, you know. Like we should try.
My point is take that aspect that we're capable, as a planet, we're capable of agreeing that January 1st, the whole planet is going to celebrate New Year's as the sun rises. Like we all
Yes.
agree on that. Every single human. Perhaps, maybe not every single, but like,
Yeah.
the majority.
Not every single.
At what point is it going to become, let's all pray, or let's all meditate, or let's all share a moment of silence or gratitude?
Right.
That's what I'm curious about. And I think social media can perhaps facilitate that soon. Who knows?
Yeah, man. I love to hear your stories. Very, very fascinating.
Yes, sir. We on the Purple Matter podcast, man. There's no limits out here. We explore the purple. If you guys are in tune, again, we appreciate all of your viewership, all of your feedback, your comments, your likes, your messages. And for anybody who's watching this 20, 30, 40, 50 years from the future, send us your prayers, guide us, give us your gratitude.
We working,
Right.
bro. We working, but that's all about like. Then you know that's all about like how you want to be good and the best at the mental game, you know,
Right.
because you understand it's a mental game. So if you want to start growing and have a positive impact, you gotta understand
Right.
how you can be the best.
I mean,
So
yeah.
by learning how you can be the best, you can like optimize your day to have only beneficial aspect for your. You know, if I'm alone, I'm trying to like live alone right now, so I can just focus on growth. Well, my day is optimized. I have only 10 minutes nap during my day, 15 minutes nap.
Right.
And then the rest of the time, I'm 100% productive. Sometimes I'm reading just before sleeping. 1 hour before sleeping, I'm reading. But otherwise,
Right.
just producing. And I don't drink coffee. I optimize my food.
Hell yeah. Optimism optimizes options
Exactly.
and opportunities. What's that?
Exactly.
That's 4 O's.
You got it.
That's 4 O's. That's a ooh.
That's the O's. That's the om. Actually, it's om.
That's an ohm. Because that M can stand for a couple things. 4 O's leads to infinite M's.
Omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient. Yes, sir. That's how it is.
That's how it is. I think I should let you get back to the life and times of Thailand. I'm gonna head out.
What time is it? How long are we doing right now?
We about 12. I think.
So you know what
12
I
o'clock.
had an intuition just for this episode. I think I'm gonna replace the video, the footage. I'm gonna ask someone to apply like AI generated interpretation of what we're saying. That like every topics we're saying will be AI generated by a design, so
that.
people can watch it as, you know. I don't want to see my face like all around
like
the
that.
clip, you know. I want to be more entertaining.
Right.
So I'm gonna replace everything and make it cinematographic. So we're just gonna have like, we have to purchase a service where the guy gonna do AI for all around the video. It's just gonna be generated, so it's generative AI.
You know what would be fire too?
2025.
I'm with
That's
it.
where we gotta use the
I'm
tools.
with it.
And so I just got,
I'm with it.
you know, I just got the intuition right now. We gotta do that, and that's how you gotta work.
Right.
You know, just through patterns where you understand that you get opportunities
Right.
coming
You just share it.
from
Just
a
share
different
it.
source,
Send
bro,
it.
because you're not forcing. You know what I'm saying?
I'm with it.
You're not forcing.
What's
it.
even crazier too is, of course, voice, presence, you, me, whatever, generate it with AI, but allow AI to even interpret how we look. Because what I imagine, even right now, is like this scene right here could be anime, could be cartoon, could be look like a video game, but like let it turn how we speak into whatever, as long as the message is
Okay.
going.
Okay, I should actually like yeah. Right now, I'm gonna turn in a different pattern. Yeah, that's easy, bro. I can do
Stuff
it
like
very
that.
easy.
Like as we're
I
as
can
we're
just
talking,
change.
maybe it's
Very soon we're gonna be.
yeah,
Very soon we're gonna be able to change our clothes just by talking like that.
exactly.
You know, on Instagram. And
So
live.
it is
The
just a
future of
word,
social media is live.
right?
The future of social media is live. And actually, right now, like what I would have loved to do a live, and I hope I can like just make a live where, as soon as we talk, the generative AI is already playing
In real time,
through the live
as we
in real
say
time.
it.
As we say it, so you can already start creating aspects. If I say like, oh, I'm, you know, this piece of alien, he's just gonna pop out from the from the
Yeah, it's like
wall,
it's
and he's
like
just gonna be
it's like
around
real
me,
time
and I'm gonna be
hallucination.
chilling with him.
Yeah, real time
He's
hallucination.
gonna be chilling with me.
Yeah, I feel you.
And he's gonna like create it through the live.
Hell yeah, I can see that happening. It's gonna happen soon, but but before that does, we still gotta press some buttons. And on that note, for all of you listening, make sure you press that, you know, that subscription button, that comment button, that like button, the share button. Share it, send it, and for those of you in the future, hit us up. You know, hit up 40, 50-year-old Ivan and Armel. Hit us up. Meet us before we go.
Yes, sir. Give us the keys so we can meet you up sooner.
Exactly.
Let's not wait so long because we're ready.
Exactly. Purple Matter.
All right, cheers,
Episode
my
10.
boy. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too,
Yes,
man.
sir.
Thank you for all your
I
wisdom.
got you, my G.
Talk soon.
Cheers.